The Faint Glow Under the Garage Door. Part 1. A bedtime story about a quiet beginning. Welcome. You have arrived at the quiet part of the evening, the part where the day's noise has faded and the world has grown soft around the edges. Wherever you are right now, whatever kind of day you have had, you can begin to let it go. The story will be here patient and unhurried, moving at the pace of slow breathing, asking nothing of you except that you rest. You might be in bed already, or perhaps you are just settling in, finding that comfortable position where your body can truly relax. Either way, there is no rush. The night is long, and the story will unfold gently, like fog rolling in from a distant bay, like the slow cooling of air after sunset, like all the quiet things that happen when we stop paying attention to the clock. It's okay if you don't hear every word. You can let the details blur and drift away. The story will continue soft and steady, whether you are listening closely or already beginning to dream. Let us go now to a quiet street on a quiet evening in a small town in California. The year is somewhere in the middle of the 1970s, though the exact year does not matter. What matters is the feeling of the place, the texture of the air, the particular quality of stillness that settles over a suburban neighborhood when the day is done and the families inside their homes have finished their dinners and begun their slow drift toward sleep. The street is called Crist Drive, and it curves gently through a neighborhood of modest houses, the kind of houses that were built after the Second World War when California was growing, and young families were looking for places to raise their children. They are not grand houses. They are not remarkable in any way. They are simply homes comfortable and practical, with low roofs and small yards and driveways that lead to garages, where cars are parked and tools are stored and the accumulated things of ordinary life collect over the years. The air tonight is cool the way California air becomes cool after sunset, even in summer. The warmth of the day has risen from the concrete and the asphalt and drifted away into the vast darkness of the sky, and in its place has come this gentle coolness, carrying with it the scent of eucalyptus from the hills and dry grass from the open spaces that still remain at the edges of town. If you were walking down this street right now, you would feel that coolness on your face, and you would breathe it in deeply, and you would feel something in your shoulders begin to relax. Notice your own breathing now. Notice how it has begun to slow, to deepen, to find its own quiet rhythm. There is nothing you need to do to make this happen. Your body knows how to rest. It has been resting this way since before you were born. The houses along Crist Drive are mostly dark now. Here and there a window glows with the blue flicker of a television or the warm yellow of a reading lamp, but most of the houses have gone quiet, their windows dark, their doors closed against the night. Behind those walls, people are sleeping, or preparing to sleep, or lying in bed, reading the last few pages of a book before their eyes grow too heavy to continue. The sounds of the neighborhood have softened too. Earlier in the evening, there might have been the clatter of dishes being washed, the calls of children being summoned inside the rumble of a lawnmower making one last pass before dark. But now those sounds have faded, replaced by the gentle chorus of the night, the chirp of crickets in the grass, the distant murmur of traffic on some faraway highway, the occasional bark of a dog that is soon quieted by its owner's voice. A car passes somewhere on a nearby street, its headlights briefly illuminating a fence, a mailbox, the leaves of a tree, before continuing on its way and leaving the darkness deeper than before. The sound of its engine fades gradually like a wave retreating from a shore until there is only silence again, or what passes for silence in a place where people live, a silence made up of small, soft sounds, a silence that is comfortable and familiar. You don't have to stay awake. The story will quietly continue, like a gentle river flowing past, whether you are following its course or already drifting somewhere else entirely. Let us walk a little further down Crist Drive, moving slowly, quietly, the way you might walk through a sleeping house in the middle of the night when you don't want to wake anyone. Our footsteps make no sound on the sidewalk. We are not really here after all. We are only imagining this place, letting it form in the mind's eye, building it out of words and memory and the particular kind of stillness that comes with a story told at bedtime. And here now we come to a house that is much like the others on the street. It has a low roof and a small yard. There are bushes along the front, and a path that leads to the door, and a driveway that curves toward a garage attached to the side of the house. The garage door is closed, as most garage doors are at this hour. Its surface, a simple rectangle of painted wood, unremarkable in every way. But look more closely. Look at the bottom of the garage door, where it meets the concrete of the driveway. Do you see it? A thin line of light, barely visible, seeping out from the gap where the rubber seal does not quite meet the ground. It is a faint glow yellow and warm, the kind of light that comes from a single lamp in a quiet room. It is so faint that you might not notice it at all if you were not looking for it, if you were just passing by on your way to somewhere else. That faint glow under the garage door is the first sign that someone is awake, inside, someone is working, someone is here, while the rest of the neighborhood sleeps. It is a quiet signal, almost a secret, shared only with the night and with anyone who happens to be watching. And there is something comforting about it, something that makes you feel a little less alone, knowing that somewhere someone else is awake doing whatever it is they do in the quiet hours. It's okay if your eyes are growing heavy now. It's okay if the image of that faint glow is beginning to blur at the edges. Let it be soft. Let it be gentle. Let it be a warm light in the darkness of your own approaching sleep. Before we go inside the garage, let us first imagine the house to which it is attached. There is a kitchen, as there is in most houses, with a window that looks out onto the driveway. The kitchen is dark now, but if we could see inside, we would see the familiar shapes of cabinets and countertops. a refrigerator humming its quiet hum, a table with chairs pushed neatly underneath, and on the counter near the window there is a bowl of apples. Just ordinary apples, the kind you might buy at any grocery store. Some are red, some are green, and one or two are a mixture of both their colors fading into each other like a sunset. They have been sitting there for a few days now, ripening slowly in the warm California air, and they have begun to give off that particular scent that apples give off when they are perfectly ripe, sweet, and clean, and somehow both fresh and old at the same time. That scent drifts through the kitchen, mixes with the smell of the dinner that was cooked hours ago, and floats out through the small door that connects the kitchen to the garage. If you were inside the garage right now working at the bench, you might catch a whiff of it from time to time, a gentle reminder of the home that is just a few steps away, of the ordinary life that surrounds this quiet space of work and creation. Notice your body sinking deeper into the bed. Notice how the mattress holds you, how the pillow cradles your head. You are safe here. You are comfortable. There is nothing to do right now except breathe slowly, gently, and let the story carry you. Now let us go inside the garage itself. We pass through the closed door as if it were not there, because in a story, doors are not obstacles, and walls cannot keep us out. We find ourselves in a space that is larger than it looks from outside, though still small by any objective measure. It is a two-car garage, but only half of it is used for cars. The other half has been given over to something else. There is a workbench against one wall made of old wood that has been scratched and stained by years of use. The surface of the bench is cluttered, but in the way that a craftsman's bench is cluttered. Tools in their places, parts organized into bins and boxes, everything where it can be found when it is needed. A soldering iron rests in its stand, its tip faintly warm, a thin curl of smoke rising from a recent use and dissolving into the air. The light comes from a single lamp clamped to the edge of the bench, its shade adjusted to cast a pool of brightness over the work area, while leaving the rest of the garage in comfortable shadow. It is this light that creates the faint glow we saw from outside this simple lamp, with its ordinary bulb doing nothing more than illuminating the space where someone works. The air in the garage smells of many things, of dust and old cardboard, of the faint metallic tang of solder of the wood of the workbench, and the concrete of the floor. There is the smell of oil from a car that was parked here not long ago, and the smell of the paint on the walls, and underneath it all, barely noticeable, that faint sweetness of apples drifting in from the kitchen through the crack under the door. You can let the details blur and drift away now. The story is just atmosphere, just feeling, just the sense of a quiet place where something is about to begin. Let it wash over you like warm water. Let it hold you like the darkness holds the night. On the workbench, scattered among the tools and parts, there are things that are harder to identify. Circuit boards, green and intricate, covered with the tiny shapes of electronic components. Coils of wire in different colors. Small plastic bins filled with resistors and capacitors, their values marked in codes that only someone who works with electronics would understand. A keyboard the old kind, with heavy mechanical keys connected by a ribbon of cable to something that is not quite finished yet. On a shelf above the workbench, next to a jar of screws and a box of electrical tape, there is a single apple. It has been placed there casually, perhaps set down by someone who meant to eat it, and then forgot, distracted by the work at hand. It is a red apple with a small bruise on one side, and it catches the light from the lamp in a way that makes it seem to glow faintly, like a small ember, like a quiet flame. A clock hangs on the wall, an old clock with a round face and hands that move in their slow, steady circles. It ticks softly, marking the seconds, marking the minutes, marking the hours of the night as they pass. The sound is so regular, so constant, that after a while you stop hearing it and it becomes part of the silence rather than a break in it. And somewhere far away, a train is moving through the darkness. You can hear it if you listen, the low rumble of wheels on tracks, the mournful call of a horn at a distant crossing, then the gradual fading as it moves away, carrying its cargo toward some destination that does not concern us, that is part of another story entirely. It's okay if you're not following the story anymore. It's okay if you're drifting, floating, letting go. The story is just a gentle presence now, a soft voice in the darkness, asking nothing of you but your rest. Outside on the quiet street, the faint glow continues to shine from under the garage door. It is the only sign of life on Crist Drive now, the only signal that someone is awake in this sleeping neighborhood. A passerby might see it and wonder briefly what someone is doing in their garage so late at night. But there are no passers-by at this hour. There is only the night and the fog beginning to drift in from the bay, and the patient stars wheeling slowly overhead. That faint glow is a kind of promise, though no one knows it yet. It is the light of a beginning, the illumination of a starting point, the quiet signal that something is being built in this ordinary place. Something that will matter, though not for reasons anyone can imagine tonight. For now it is just light. Just a lamp on a workbench. Just someone awake while others sleep. Soon, two young men will work here together in this quiet garage, building something unusual out of circuits and wire, and the strange new language of computers. They will spend many evenings here, many late nights, many hours of patient work. But that is for later, for another part of the story. For now, the garage is still, the tools are waiting, and the night stretches out long and peaceful, full of possibility and rest. And you can rest too here in this quiet moment, this pause before the story continues. The faint glow under the garage door will still be there when you return. The apples will still be ripening in the kitchen. The clock will still be ticking on the wall. For now, just breathe. Just rest. Just let the night hold you gently, the way it holds this quiet street, this ordinary house, this small garage, where something is about to begin. Part 2. A young man in the quiet. And now in the soft light of that single lamp we can begin to see him more clearly. He He is a young man, perhaps 20 years old, with dark hair and a thin frame. His name is Steve, and he has lived in this valley for most of his life in this town of Los Altos, where the orchards have slowly given way to houses, and the quiet streets wind through neighborhoods that all look more or less the same. He stands at the workbench now, his weight shifting slightly from one foot to the other, the way people do when they are thinking, when their minds are somewhere other than their bodies. His breathing is slow, and even the kind of breathing that comes naturally when you are absorbed in something, when the world outside has faded away, and there is only the task in front of you and the gentle rhythm of your own thoughts. It's okay if you don't hear every word. The story moves slowly, like water finding its way downstream, and you can drift along with it or let it pass by. Either way, you are exactly where you need to be. Steve came to his family in an unusual way, though it did not feel unusual to him. He was adopted as an infant, brought home by a couple named Paul and Clara, who lived in a small house in San Francisco before moving here to Los Altos when Steve was still a boy. They raised him as their own because he was their own, and the fact of his adoption was simply a fact, like the color of his eyes or the year he was born, nothing more and nothing less. His father, Paul, was a man who worked with his hands. He was a machinist and a mechanic, someone who understood how things were built and how they could be fixed. He had a workbench of his own in this very garage where he would spend hours repairing cars or building cabinets or tinkering with whatever needed tinkering with. And when Steve was young, he would sometimes sit beside his father and watch learning without knowing he was learning, absorbing the quiet satisfaction of making something work. His mother, Clara, was patient and kind, the kind of person who could calm a room just by entering it. She worked as a bookkeeper, careful with numbers and details, and she kept the household running in that invisible way that households are kept running, making sure there was food on the table and clothes in the closet, and a sense of order in the small, busy life of a family. Notice your body now. Notice how heavy your arms have become, how relaxed your shoulders are. There is nothing you need to hold on to. You can let everything go, like setting down a bag you've been carrying for a long time. From an early age, Steve was curious. Not curious in a restless way, but in a quiet way, the way some children are when they want to understand how things work. He would take apart radios and clocks, spreading the pieces across his bedroom floor, studying the gears and wires and trying to see the logic hidden inside. Sometimes he could put them back together. Sometimes he could not. Either way, he learned something, and the learning itself was the point. He was interested in electronics from the time he was a teenager, drawn to the strange new world of circuits and transistors that was emerging in these years here, in this valley that was beginning to be known for such things. He joined clubs where people who shared this interest would meet to talk about their projects, to share what they had learned, to imagine what might be possible if you could build a machine that ordinary people could use. But he was also interested in other things, things that might seem unrelated. He cared about how things looked, not just how they worked. He noticed when something was beautiful and when it was not, when a design felt right and when it felt wrong. This was unusual for someone interested in electronics, where beauty was rarely discussed and function was everything. But for Steve, the two were connected in ways he was only beginning to understand. You can let the details blur and drift away. The story is just a gentle current now, carrying you wherever you need to go. There is nothing to remember, nothing to figure out. Just rest. Now in the garage, Steve reaches up and adjusts the lamp clamped to the workbench. He tilts it slightly, changing the angle of the light, watching how the shadows shift across the scattered parts and tools. The adjustment is small, almost unnecessary, but there is something satisfying about it, something that helps him think. He tilts the lamp back the other way, just a little, finding the angle that feels right, and then he leaves it there, the light falling exactly where he wants it to fall. The workbench in front of him holds the project he has been working on, a circuit board that is not quite finished, a tangle of wires that will eventually become something more organized. There are small bins of components, nearby resistors and capacitors, sorted by value, and there are tools arranged in a way that makes sense to him, even if it might not make sense to anyone else. He knows where everything is. He knows how to find what he needs. His footsteps are soft on the concrete floor as he moves around the bench, gathering what he needs for the evening's work. There is no hurry in his movements. The night is long, and the work will take as long as it takes. He has learned that rushing leads to mistakes, and mistakes mean starting over, and starting over means losing time that could have been spent moving forward. So he moves slowly, deliberately, with the patience of someone who understands that good work cannot be hurried. It's okay if your eyes are closed now. It's okay if you're more asleep than awake. The story continues, patient and gentle, asking nothing of you but your rest. On the corner of the workbench, there is a stack of magazines and notes pages, torn from hobbyist publications and technical manuals, scribbled reminders and diagrams drawn in pencil. Steve reaches for them now, picking up the first magazine and flipping slowly through its pages. The paper makes a soft sound as he turns each page, a gentle whisper in the quiet of the garage. He is not looking for anything in particular. He is just letting his mind wander, seeing what catches his attention, allowing ideas to form without forcing them. He pauses at an article about a new kind of microprocessor, a chip that can do things that chips could not do a few years ago. He reads a few paragraphs, his eyes moving slowly across the text, and then he flips forward past advertisements and letters to the editor, past projects that do not interest him tonight. Another page turns, and another, the soft whisper of paper accompanying each movement, a rhythm as regular as breathing. There is a particular page he has returned to many times, an article about the possibility of computers that ordinary people might use in their homes. It is a strange idea even now, when most computers are room-sized machines tended by specialists in white coats. But Steve can imagine it. He can see it in his mind, not clearly, not in detail, but as a feeling, a sense of what might be possible if someone put the pieces together in the right way. You don't have to stay awake. The story will be here soft and steady whenever you want to return to it. For now, just let yourself float like a leaf on still water, going nowhere, needing nothing. He sets the magazine down and picks up a piece of paper covered with his own handwriting. It is a list of parts he needs, calculations. He has made ideas he has jotted down at different times and in different moods. Some of the writing is neat, some is hurried, and there is one line near the bottom that he has crossed out and rewritten twice already. He reads it now, frowns slightly, and reaches for the pencil that sits in a cup beside the lamp. The pencil makes a soft scratching sound as he crosses out the line once more and rewrites it, taking his time, making each letter clear and deliberate. The new version is not very different from the old version, but something about it is better, more precise, closer to what he actually means. He looks at it for a moment, satisfied, and then sets the pencil down and returns the paper to its place in the stack. The act of rewriting has helped him think. This is something he has discovered over time, that the physical act of writing, of putting pencil to paper, and forming words and numbers with your own hand, can clarify thoughts that were fuzzy and vague. It is a kind of thinking that happens through the body, not just the mind, and it is part of the work, just as important as the soldering and the wiring and all the technical skills that building requires. Notice how your breathing has become slow and deep. Notice how the tension has left your body, how your muscles have softened, how you are sinking gently into rest. There is nothing to do right now except be here in this quiet moment, in this peaceful dark. Steve adjusts the lamp once more, tilting it just slightly, watching the light move across the workbench. He does this without thinking about it the way you might adjust a pillow or shift your weight in a chair. It is a small comfort, a small act of control in a world that often feels uncontrollable. The light settles into its new angle, and he leaves it there and returns his attention to the circuit board in front of him. What he sees when he looks at the scattered parts and half-finished projects on the bench is not just what is there. He sees what could be there, what might be there, if the right choices are made and the right problems are solved. This is his particular gift, if it can be called a gift, the ability to imagine things that do not yet exist, to see possibilities where others see only components and wires. It is not a dramatic ability. It does not announce itself. It is just a quiet way of looking at the world, a tendency to ask what if instead of what is. He wonders sometimes what a computer might look like if it were designed not just to work, but to be beautiful. He wonders what it might feel like to use a machine that was made with the same care and attention that a craftsman gives to furniture or a potter gives to clay. These are not thoughts he shares with many people. They would seem strange, impractical beside the point. But they are there in the back of his mind, shaping the way he approaches the work even when he is not aware of it. It's okay if the story is becoming a dream now. It's okay if the garage and the workbench and the young man standing there are all beginning to blur into something softer, something that belongs more to sleep than to waking. Let it happen. Let yourself go. He has been standing for a long time now, and he can feel the weight of it in his legs. A pleasant heaviness that reminds him he has a body, that he is here, in this place, in this moment. He shifts his weight again from one foot to the other and feels his muscles respond, feels the small adjustments that keep him balanced and upright. There is a stool nearby, but he does not sit. He prefers to stand when he works, prefers the way. It keeps him alert and present, connected to the task at hand. The clock on the wall ticks its steady rhythm, marking the seconds as they pass. It is late now, later than he usually stays up, but he is not tired. Or rather, he is tired, but the tiredness is distant, held at bay by the interest of the work, by the pull of the unfinished project waiting on the bench. Soon he will stop. Soon he will go inside and sleep. But not yet. Not quite yet. Outside, the faint glow continues to shine from under the garage door, that thin line of light that is the only sign of wakefulness on this sleeping street. The fog has thickened, drifting in from the bay, and the air has grown cooler still. The neighborhood is wrapped in quiet, in darkness, in the peaceful stillness of the deep night. And inside the garage, the young man works on, patient and steady, following his curiosity wherever it leads. Your body is heavy and warm now. Your thoughts are drifting soft as clouds. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to remember. The story will carry you gently wherever you need to go. Steve is not alone in this interest, this fascination with circuits and possibilities. There is a friend, someone he has known for several years now, someone who shares his curiosity, but brings to it a different kind of skill. This friend is older by a few years, and he has a talent for building that goes beyond anything Steve has seen. He can look at a schematic and understand it, instantly can solder a circuit board with a speed and precision that seems almost magical. He is a builder, a maker, someone whose hands seem to know things that most people have to think about. They have worked together before on smaller projects, experiments that taught them both something about what they could do and what they still needed to learn. And now they are talking about something larger, something more ambitious, something that might actually become a product that other people could use. The friend will come to this garage soon, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps the day after, and they will work together, combining their different talents into something neither could create alone. But that is for later. For now, there is just this quiet evening, this gentle work, this slow accumulation of understanding that happens when you spend time with something you care about. The pages of the magazine flutter slightly in a draft from somewhere, the paper making its soft whispering sound. The lamp casts its warm circle of light. The clock ticks. The night continues its slow turning toward morning. And you can rest now here in this quiet moment. The friend will come when the story is ready for him. The work will continue when you return. For now there is only peace, only stillness, only the gentle darkness that holds you safe while you sleep. Rest well. The story will be here patient and waiting whenever you are ready to continue. Part 3. The Friend Who Builds. On another evening, not long after, there is a knock at the garage door. It is a soft knock, almost tentative, the kind of knock that says, "I know you are in there, and I do not want to startle you." Steve sets down the magazine he has been reading and crosses the concrete floor to open the small side door that leads to the driveway. And there, standing in the cool night air, with a cardboard box tucked under one arm and a spiral notebook in his hand, is his friend. His name is Steve as well, though people often call him by his last name Wozniak, or simply Woz, to avoid confusion. He is a few years older than his friend, with a round, open face and a way of smiling that makes you feel immediately at ease. He is larger than Steve Jobs, broader in the shoulders and softer in his movements, and there is something about him that suggests patience, that suggests someone who does not mind taking the long way around if the long way is more interesting. It's okay if you don't hear every word. The two friends are meeting now in the quiet of the garage, and you can watch them from a distance through half-closed eyes, without needing to follow every detail. Woz steps inside, and the garage feels different with him, in it fuller somehow, though not crowded. He sets his cardboard box on the workbench, moving aside a few tools to make room, and opens it to reveal a circuit board he has been working on. It is different from the boards that Steve has been building, neater, somehow more compact, as if every component has been placed exactly where it needs to be and nowhere else. There is a playfulness to Woz that is hard to describe but easy to feel. He enjoys what he does not because he wants to accomplish something or prove something, but simply because the doing of it brings him joy. Building circuits is for him a kind of play, a puzzle that he never tires of solving, a game where the rules are the laws of electricity and the goal is to make something that works as beautifully as possible. He has been building things since he was a child, taking apart his father's electronics and putting them back together, learning the language of resistors and capacitors the way other children learn the language of words. His father was an engineer, and the dinner table conversations in their house were often about circuits and signals, about the elegant ways that problems could be solved if you thought about them long enough and carefully enough. Notice your breathing now, how it has found its own slow rhythm. You are safe here in this quiet story, watching two friends begin their work together. There is nothing you need to do except rest. What Woz loves most about building circuits is making them neat and efficient. He likes to use as few parts as possible to find the simplest path from problem to solution to create something that does its job without any waste or clutter. There is a kind of elegance in this, a beauty that most people would never see, because it is hidden inside the machine, invisible to anyone who is not looking for it. But Woz sees it. Woz cares about it. Woes spends hours finding ways to remove one more component to shorten one more connection to make the circuit just a little bit cleaner than it was before. He explains this to Steve, now in the quiet of the garage, pointing to the circuit board he has brought. See here, he says, his voice soft and unhurried. I managed to do the same thing with half the chips. He traces a path with his finger, showing how the signals flow from one component to another, how each piece connects to the next in a pattern that is logical and clean. Steve watches, listens, nods. He does not understand every detail, but he understands enough to know that what he is seeing is something special. For Woes, this kind of efficiency is not about saving money, though it does save money. It is not about impressing anyone, though it is impressive. It is simply about doing the thing right, about honoring the craft, about the deep satisfaction that comes from solving a problem in the best way it can be solved. It is the same satisfaction that a woodworker feels when a joint fits perfectly, or a musician feels when a phrase lands exactly where it should. You can let the technical details drift away. They are not important for where we are going. What matters is the feeling in the room, the quiet companionship of two people who care about what they are making. Let that feeling hold you. The two Steves are different in many ways, but their differences fit together like pieces of a puzzle. Where Jobs paces moving around the garage as he thinks, Woz settles into a spot and stays there, his body still, while his mind works. Where Jobs talks about possibilities about what the finished thing might mean and who might want to use it. Woz smiles and picks up a pencil and begins to draw sketching circuits on the back of an envelope, turning ideas into diagrams with the ease of someone thinking aloud. Jobs pauses by the workbench, looking at the circuit board Woz has brought. He picks it up carefully, holding it at an angle to catch the light from the lamp, studying the arrangement of components. What if he says, and then he is off, talking about something he has imagined, some way that this board might connect to a larger vision? Woz listens, nodding slowly, and when Jobs is finished, he says, I think I can do that, and reaches for another piece of paper to sketch what he means. There is no conflict between them, no tension. They are simply two people who see the world in different ways, and those different ways of seeing complement each other, fill in each other's gaps, create something that neither could create alone. Jobs has the vision, the sense of where things might go. Woz has the skill, the ability to build what Jobs can only imagine. Together they are more than the sum of their parts. It's okay if your eyes are closed now. The story continues in the darkness behind your eyelids, soft and gentle, like the murmur of voices in another room. You don't need to see anything. You just need to rest. Outside, the faint glow under the garage door has grown slightly brighter. There are two people inside now, two lamps instead of one, and the thin line of light that seeps out onto the driveway is a little warmer, a little more pronounced. A passerby might notice it, might wonder briefly who is awake so late on this quiet street. But there are no passers-by tonight, only the fog drifting in from the bay and the stars turning slowly overhead. The glow is a kind of signal, though no one is watching for it. It says that something is happening here, that work is being done, that two minds are bending together over a shared problem. It is the same glow that is shown from workshops and studios and quiet rooms throughout history, the light of people who stay up late because they cannot stop, because the work is too interesting, because there is always just one more thing to figure out before bed. Inside the garage, the clock on the wall continues its steady ticking, marking the seconds as they pass. Neither of the two Steves hears it anymore. It has become part of the silence part of the background, as natural as their own breathing. Tick, tick, tick. The sound is almost like a heartbeat, slow and regular, a rhythm that underlies everything else that happens in this small, quiet space. Let that rhythm carry you now, slow and steady like the ticking of a clock, like the beating of a heart at rest. You are drifting, floating, letting go. There is nowhere to be. There is nothing to do. Just this gentle darkness, just this quiet peace. Jobs is standing now, leaning against the wall near the small window, looking out at the darkness beyond. He is thinking aloud, his voice low and steady, talking about people he has never met, people who might someday want to use what they are building. Ordinary people, he says, not engineers, not hobbyists. People who just want something that works, something that helps them do what they need to do. His hands move as he talks, shaping invisible things in the air. Woz is seated on the stool now, the one that Jobs never uses, his broad fram. He's settled comfortably as he listens. He has a pencil in his hand and he taps it lightly against the workbench, not impatiently, just rhythmically, a small motion that helps him think. When Jobs pauses, Woz says something about how the circuit might need to change to do what Jobs is describing. He does not say it cannot be done. He says, let me think about how. This is how they work together. This gentle back and forth, this trading of ideas like two people passing a ball. One throws, the other catches, and something is added before it is thrown back. The ideas grow in the passing, become more real, more possible, more like something that might actually exist someday. Neither of them is entirely sure where they are going. But they trust that the going itself will show them the way. You don't have to follow the ideas. You don't have to understand where they are going. Just let the rhythm of their conversation wash over you like waves on a shore, like wind through distant trees. The story holds you. You can let go. At some point, there is a pause in the conversation, and Jobs disappears through the small door that leads into the house. He returns a moment later carrying 2 glasses of water, and tucked against his side a single apple from the bowl on the kitchen counter. He sets one glass near Woz and keeps the other for himself, then places the apple on the corner of the workbench where it catches the light from the lamps and glows faintly red, a small spot of color among the gray and green of the electronics. Neither of them eats the apple, not tonight. It just sits there, patient and ordinary, a piece of fruit that wandered in from the kitchen and found a place among the wires and components. But there is something right about its presence, something that softens the technical clutter of the workbench, that reminds them both that they are in a home, in a family's garage, doing extraordinary things in an ordinary place. The faint scent of the apple mixes with the smell of solder and warm electronics, creating something that is hard to describe, but pleasant, familiar. It is the smell of this particular place, this particular time, this quiet work being done in the middle of the night while the rest of the world sleeps. Notice how your body has become heavy and warm. Notice how the bed holds you, how the darkness surrounds you like a soft blanket. You are safe here. You are at peace. The story continues, gentle as breathing, asking nothing of you. They talk as the evening deepens about a group that meets not far from here in a hall in a nearby town. It is a gathering of people who share their interest, hobbyists and engineers and dreamers, who come together every few weeks to talk about the things they are building. They call it the Homebrew Computer Club, a name that suggests kitchens and basements amateur efforts made with love and limited resources. It is a quiet place, this club, though quiet in the way that a room full of curious people is quiet, buzzing with ideas, humming with possibility, but without the noise and competition that often accompanies gatherings of ambitious people. The members share what they know freely, passing around circuits and code the way neighbors might pass around recipes, each contribution adding to a collective understanding that belongs to everyone. Woz has been attending these meetings for some time, bringing his latest creations to show the others, listening to their feedback, learning from what they have built. Jobs has come too, though his interest is different, less about the technical details and more about what it all might mean, where it all might go. They have both felt it, the particular energy of being in a room with people who care about the same things you care about, who understand without explanation why this matters. It is at these meetings that ideas gather and grow, that possibilities become plans, that the scattered efforts of individuals begin to coalesce into something larger. The club is like a garden where seeds are planted and tended, where some things flourish and others do not, where the future is being grown in ways that no one can fully predict or control. And that is where we will leave them for now, these two friends in their quiet garage, thinking about the community of dreamers and builders who share their world. The night is deep, and the work will continue tomorrow. For now, rest. Let the story settle into your dreams. Let the faint glow under the garage door be a gentle light in your sleep, a reminder that somewhere, someone is always building something new. Part 4, where ideas gather. The room where the club meets is nothing special. It is a hall in a building that serves many purposes, rented for a few hours every other Wednesday evening. The floors are linoleum worn smooth by years of footsteps. The walls are painted a color that might once have been white, but has faded to something closer to cream. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting their flat, even glow over everything below. There are folding chairs arranged in loose rows, the kind of metal chairs that squeak when you shift your weight, and never quite feel comfortable no matter how you sit. Some people have pulled their chairs into small circles, leaning toward each other as they talk. Others sit alone studying papers or circuit boards they have brought with them, lost in their own thoughts. Simple tables line the walls covered with the things people have brought to share. There are circuit boards and bundles of wire, handwritten notes, and photocopied schematics, keyboards connected to nothing, and screens waiting to display something. Each table holds someone's project, someone's experiment, someone's attempt to solve a problem that has been occupying their evenings and weekends. It's okay if you don't hear every word. The room is full of quiet activity, but you are watching from a distance, through half-closed eyes. Let the details blur. Let the scene soften. You are just drifting through on your way to sleep. The people who come to these meetings are a varied group. There are engineers who work for the electronics companies that have begun to cluster in this valley, spending their days on large projects and their evenings on small ones. There are students from the nearby universities, young and eager, still learning the basics but already imagining what they might build someday. There are teachers and hobbyists, retired technicians, and curious amateurs, all drawn here by the same quiet fascination with what computers might become. They carry their projects carefully, the way you might carry something fragile and precious. A circuit board wrapped in cloth. A notebook filled with diagrams. A box of components that took weeks to gather from different suppliers. These are labors of love, built in garages and basements and spare bedrooms, and bringing them here to share with others who understand is both an act of pride and an act of vulnerability. The voices in the room are low conversational. There is no one standing at the front giving a lecture, not yet. This is the informal time, the time before the meeting officially begins, when people mill about and find each other and fall into the easy conversations that happen when strangers discover they care about the same things. Someone laughs quietly. Someone asks a question. Someone bends over a circuit board, pointing to something, explaining. Notice how your body has settled into the bed. Notice how heavy your limbs have become, how soft and distant everything feels. You are safe here in this quiet darkness. The story continues gentle as a whisper, asking nothing of you. The purpose of this gathering is simple, so simple that it might seem unremarkable. People come here to share what they have built, to show what they have learned, to ask questions, and offer answers to imagine together what might be possible. There is no competition, no prizes, no pressure to perform. There is only the quiet pleasure of being among people who understand, who speak the same language of circuits and code. The dream that brings them here is also simple, though it might seem strange to anyone who has not felt it. They dream of computers that are small, that are affordable, that ordinary people might own and use. In these years, computers are still enormous machines that fill entire rooms, tended by specialists, owned by corporations and universities. The idea that a computer might sit on a desk in a home used by a single person for their own purposes is still a new idea, still a radical idea, still something that most people would find difficult to imagine. But the people in this room can imagine it. They can see it in their minds even though it does not yet exist. And they come here meeting after meeting to inch a little closer to making it real. Each shared circuit, each answered question, each small breakthrough reported to the group is a step on a long and uncertain path. No one knows exactly where it leads, but they walk it together, and that makes the walking easier. You don't have to stay awake. The dream they are dreaming will continue without you. Let yourself drift like a leaf on still water, like a cloud, moving slowly across a night sky. The story will be here when you return. Wozniak is here tonight, sitting in one of the folding chairs near the back of the room. He has brought the circuit board he showed to Jobs in the garage wrapped carefully in a cloth bag, and it rests now on his lap, like something he is not quite ready to share. He is shy in groups like this, more comfortable working alone at his bench than standing in front of others explaining what he has made. He watches the other people in the room, the ones who move more easily through the crowd, who strike up conversations without hesitation. He admires them in a way, their ease with people, their confidence. But he knows that his gifts lie elsewhere, in the quiet concentration of building and the satisfaction of making something work. And that is enough. That is more than enough. After a while, someone he knows from a previous meeting comes over and sits beside him. They talk quietly about a problem the other person has been having something to do with memory and timing, and Wozniak finds himself relaxing as he thinks about the technical details. This is the kind of conversation he enjoys, the kind where he can be helpful, where his knowledge matters. He sketches something on a scrap of paper, and the other person nods understanding. It's okay if your eyes are closed now. The room is full of quiet voices, quiet movements, the gentle hum of people thinking and sharing. Let it be like music in another room, pleasant but distant. Nothing you need to follow closely. Jobs is here too, though he moves through the room differently than Wozniak. He is not carrying a project, not looking for technical help. He is watching. He stands near one of the tables, his arms folded loosely across his chest, and he observes the people around him, the way they interact, the things that capture their attention. He notices which projects draw crowds, which ones make people lean in closer, which ones spark questions and conversation. He notices the expressions on people's faces when they see something that excites them, the way their eyes widen slightly, the way they nod and ask to know more. These are small things easy to overlook, but Jobs does not overlook them. He files them away somewhere in the back of his mind, pieces of a puzzle he is slowly assembling. There is no dramatic moment of insight, no flash of revelation. There is only a slow noticing, a gradual accumulation of observations that begin over time to form a picture. He sees that people want something simpler than what exists, something they can understand without years of training. He sees that they want something complete, not just a circuit board, but a whole machine ready to use. He sees that the dream of a personal computer is not his dream alone, that it lives in this room, in these people, waiting for someone to make it real. Notice your breathing now, how slow and steady it has become. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to let go. There is nothing to figure out, nothing to solve. Just this peaceful darkness, just this gentle floating. The meeting continues in its quiet way. Someone stands at the front of the room for a while, sharing news about a new chip that has become available, a new technique for storing information. People listen, take notes, ask questions. Then the formal part ends, and the informal conversations resume. The clusters of people reforming around the tables, the low hum of voices filling the room. At some point, Wozniak unwraps his circuit board and shows it to a few people who have gathered nearby. He explains what it does, how it works, the choices he made in designing it. The people listening nod, impressed by the elegance of his solution, the efficiency of his design. One of them asks if he could make copies, if others could build the same thing. Wozniak thinks about it, shrugs, says he supposes he could write down the instructions. Jobs watches this from across the room, and something in his expression shifts just slightly. It is not excitement, not exactly. It is more like recognition, like seeing something clearly that was blurry before. He does not say anything, does not move from his spot near the wall. He just watches and thinks and lets the pieces of the puzzle continue to arrange themselves in his mind. You can let the scene fade now. The meeting is winding down, people gathering their things, saying their goodbyes. The chairs will be folded, the tables cleared, the lights turned off. And everyone will go home carrying with them the ideas they have gathered, ready to continue their work in their own quiet spaces. And later, much later, when the meeting is over and the night has grown deep, the garage on Crist Drive waits in its familiar stillness. The street outside is quiet, the house is dark, the only sound, the distant whisper of traffic on some faraway road. The faint glow under the garage door is dark, now the lamps turned off, but the space inside holds the memory of the work that has been done there and the promise of the work still to come. The workbench is just as it was left, the tools in their places, the components waiting in their bins. The clock on the wall ticks its patient rhythm, counting the seconds of the quiet night. The apple that was placed on the shelf has grown a little softer, a little sweeter, its scent drifting gently through the cool air. Everything is still. Everything is waiting. This is the home base, the safe harbor, the place where ideas become real. The meeting room with its folding chairs and fluorescent lights is where ideas are shared, where inspiration is gathered. But the garage is where the actual building happens, where hands touch components and solder flows and circuits come slowly, patiently to life. It is a humble place, ordinary in every way, but it is also a kind of sanctuary, a quiet space set apart from the world. And you have your own quiet space wherever you are right now. Your bed, your room, your own small sanctuary, where the world cannot reach you. Let yourself sink into it. Let it hold you. You are safe here. You are home. In the days that follow the meeting, the two Steves return to the garage. They bring with them the ideas they have gathered, the observations they have made, the quiet certainty that there is something worth building here. Wozniak sits at the workbench, his pencil moving across paper, sketching new circuits, refining old ones. Jobs paces slowly by, necking aloud, imagining what the finished thing might look like, how it might feel to use it. They are not rushing. There is no deadline, no pressure, no one waiting for them to finish. There is only the work patient and absorbing, and the slow accumulation of progress that comes from showing up evening after evening and doing the next small thing. A circuit is designed. A connection is made. A problem is solved. And slowly, so slowly, that you might not notice it happening, something begins to take shape. The faint glow returns under the garage door, that thin line of light that says someone is awake, someone is working, someone is here. The clock ticks. The refrigerator hums in the kitchen. The night stretches out long and quiet, and the work continues steady as breathing calm as the beating of a heart at rest. And that is where we leave them for now, these two friends in their quiet garage, building something out of circuits and wire, and the simple belief that it might matter. The night is deep, and you are deep in it too, drifting towards sleep. Rest now. The work will continue when the story continues. For now, there is only peace, only stillness, only the gentle darkness that holds you safe. Part 5, The Rhythm of Building. The garage has become the center of their days now, or rather their evenings and their nights, the hours when the rest of the world is winding down and they are just beginning. The workbench that once held a single circuit board now holds several lined up in a neat row, each one at a different stage of completion. There is a system to the work now, a rhythm that has developed through repetition, through the simple act of doing the same thing over and over until it becomes as natural as breathing. Wozniak sits at the bench, his posture relaxed, his movements unhurried. The lamp is adjusted just so, casting its warm circle of light over the work area, leaving the rest of the garage in comfortable shadow. In front of him is a green circuit board, empty for now, waiting to be filled with the components that will bring it to life. Beside him are small bins of parts, each one labeled in his careful handwriting, and a list that tells him which component goes where. It's okay if you don't hear every word. The work is repetitive, soothing, like the rhythm of waves on a shore. You can let yourself drift with it in and out, without losing anything important. He begins with the first component, a small resistor that he picks from its bin with a pair of tweezers. He positions it on the board, bending its wire leads through the holes that have been drilled for them, and flips the board over to expose the underside, where the solder will go. The soldering iron is already warm, its tip glowing faintly orange, and he touches it to the joint where the component meets the copper trace. A wisp of smoke curls up, carrying with it that particular smell, faintly metallic, faintly sharp, the smell of work being done. The solder flows silver and bright, filling the joint, and then cooling almost instantly into a small, shiny point. He lifts the iron away and inspects the connection, tilting the board toward the lamp to see it more clearly. It is good, solid, the kind of joint that will conduct electricity reliably for years. He clips the excess wire with a small pair of cutters, and the tiny piece falls to the bench with a soft click, joining the others that have accumulated there over the course of the evening. He pauses for a moment, letting his eyes rest, letting his hand relax around the soldering iron. The clock on the wall ticks its steady rhythm. The board in front of him is just slightly warm now, holding the heat from the soldering iron, and if he rested his palm against it, he would feel that gentle warmth, like something alive, like something slowly waking up. Notice your own hands now, how relaxed they have become. Notice how they rest heavy and still asking nothing of you. Your whole body is settling like a stone, sinking slowly through warm water. The next component is a capacitor, a small cylinder with 2 wire leads. Wozniak picks it up, positions it on the board, threads the leads through their holes. The motion is the same as before, familiar, now almost automatic. He flips the board over, touches the iron to the joint, watches the solder flow. This time the smoke curls to the left, caught by some small draft from somewhere, and the metallic smell is a little stronger, a little more present in the quiet air. He checks the joint, tilting the board again toward the light. The lamp casts a warm glow over the surface, picking out the copper traces, the small shapes of the components, the silvery points of solder that mark each completed connection. Everything looks as it should. He clips the wire, hears the soft click as the excess falls away, and moves on to the next position on the board. There is something meditative about this work, something that quiets the mind and focuses the attention. Each component is a small task, complete in itself, and when it is done, there is a small satisfaction, a sense of progress. The board is slowly filling up, slowly becoming what it is meant to be. And there is no hurry, no pressure. There is only the work steady and patient, and the long night stretching out ahead. You can let your thoughts slow down now, like his hands moving through the familiar motions. There is nothing to think about, nothing to figure out. Just this gentle rhythm, this peaceful repetition. Just rest. On the corner of the workbench, pushed to the side to make room for the circuit boards, there is an apple. It is a green one this time, slightly tart, the kind that makes your mouth water when you bite into it. Wozniak reaches for it now during one of his pauses and takes a bite. The crunch is loud in the quiet garage, a sudden bright sound that seems almost out of place among the soft clicks and hums of the work. The apple is crisp and cold, stored in the refrigerator until just before he brought it out here. The juice is sweet on his tongue, refreshing after the concentration of the work. He chews slowly, thoughtfully, looking at the row of circuit boards in front of him, at the progress they have made at the work still to be done. Then he sets the apple down, wipes his hands on his jeans, and returns to the soldering iron. The third component is an integrated circuit, a small black rectangle with a row of metal legs along each side. This one requires more care, more attention, because the legs are close together and it is easy to bridge them with too much solder. Wozniak positions it carefully, making sure each leg is seated properly in its hole, and then flips the board over with the steady hands of someone who has done this many times before. He solders each leg individually, touching the iron to the joint for just a moment, just long enough for the solder to flow and then cool. The smoke rises in thin wisps one after another, and the metallic smell grows stronger, more familiar, more like the natural scent of this place. The lamp glows warm and steady overhead, and the board grows warmer still beneath his fingers, holding the accumulated heat of all these small connections. When all the legs are soldered, he inspects them one by one, looking for bridges, looking for cold joints, looking for anything that is not quite right. Everything is as it should be. The integrated circuit is now part of the board, connected to all the other components, ready to play its role in the larger whole. He clips the excess leads, hears the soft clicks as they fall, and pauses again, stretching his fingers, rolling his shoulders. It's okay if your eyes are closed now. The story continues in the darkness, soft and steady, like the work itself. You are drifting, floating, letting go. There is nowhere to be. There is nothing to do. Outside, the faint glow under the garage door spills onto the driveway, that thin line of light that is the only sign of wakefulness on this sleeping street. The night is deep, now well past midnight, and the fog has rolled in from the bay, softening everything, muffling sounds, wrapping the houses in gray stillness. If you were walking past, you would see that glow and know that someone was inside, working, building, making something with their hands in the quiet hours when most people sleep. The glow is steady tonight, not flickering, not changing. It is the light of focused work, of concentration, of the simple act of doing one thing and then another until something is complete. It has shone on many nights now, this light, and it will shine on many more. It is becoming a familiar sight, though there is no one to see it, a small beacon in the darkness of Crist Drive. The fourth component is another resistor identical to the first, requiring the same motions, the same care. Wozniak picks it up, positions, it threads the leads through. He flips the board, touches the iron to the joint, watches the solder flow. The smoke curls upward, pale and thin. The smell is there, that familiar metallic sharpness, and beneath it, barely noticeable, the faint sweetness of the apple that sits half-eaten on the corner of the bench. He checks the joint, tilts the board toward the warm glow of the lamp. The connection is good, solid. like all the others. He clips the wire, hears the soft click, and moves on. The board is nearly full now, covered with the small shapes of components connected by the silver points of solder, ready to be tested, ready to see if all the careful work has resulted in something that actually works. There is a list beside the workbench, handwritten on lined paper, that tracks all the components that need to go into each board. Wozniak glances at it now, checking off another item, noting his progress. The list is almost complete for this board, and when it is done, he will set it aside and begin another and then another until the whole row is finished and ready to go. Notice how your breathing has become slow and deep. Notice how the story has become like breathing itself in and out, steady and calm. You are safe here, held by the darkness, carried by the quiet rhythm of the night. Somewhere far away, a train sounds its horn, a low, mournful note that drifts through the fog and into the garage. Wozniak pauses, listens, lets the sound wash over him. The train is miles from here, passing through the night on its way to somewhere else, carrying whatever trains carry in the dark hours. The horn sounds again, fainter now, and then fades entirely, leaving only the tick of the clock and the soft hum of the refrigerator in the house beyond the door. There is a reason for all these boards, a reason beyond the simple pleasure of building. A man who owns a small computer store in a nearby town has agreed to buy some of them. He wants 50, which seems like a large number, larger than anything they have done before. He will pay a small amount for each one, enough to cover the cost of the components, and leave a little left over. It is not a fortune. It is not even very much. But it is something, a beginning, a sign that what they are building might have value to someone other than themselves. Jobs has handled the conversation with the store owner, worked out the details, agreed on a price. It is the kind of thing he is good at: talking to people, figuring out what they want, finding a way to make things happen. Wozniak is grateful for this, grateful to have a partner who can handle the parts of the work that do not come naturally to him. He prefers the soldering, the building, the quiet satisfaction of making things with his hands. You don't have to think about any of this. The details of money and agreements are just small ripples on the surface of the story. Beneath them, the deep current continues, calm and peaceful, carrying you towards sleep. And then one evening, the last board is finished. Wozniak solders the final component, checks the final joint, clips the final wire. He sets the board aside with the others, and for a moment he just looks at them. This row of green rectangles covered with components, each one identical to the others. Each one a small miracle of electricity and logic, waiting to be powered on. Jobs helps him pack them into boxes, wrapping each one carefully in cloth to protect it during transport. They load the boxes, NTO, the back of a car, and drive them to the store, where the owner inspects them, nods approvingly, and counts out the payment in cash. It is a simple transaction, quiet and businesslike, nothing dramatic. But when they drive home, there is a feeling in the car, a sense of something shifting, something changing. The garage, when they return to it, looks different somehow, though nothing has actually changed. The workbench is still there, the tools still in their places, the lamp still casting its warm circle of light. But the space feels different now, charged with a new kind of potential. It is no longer just a place where hobbyists tinker. It is becoming something else, something that does not yet have a name, but that both of them can feel. And that is where we leave them for now, in their quiet garage that is slowly becoming the heart of something new. The faint glow under the door will shine again tomorrow, and the work will continue. But for now, the night is deep, and you are deep in it too. Rest well. The story will be here patient and waiting whenever you are ready to return. Part 6. Something Friendlier. Time passes in the garage, though you would not notice it by looking at a clock or a calendar. You would notice it in other ways, smaller ways, the ways that time reveals itself when you are not paying attention. The stack of boxes against the wall has grown taller. The notes pinned above the workbench have multiplied their edges, softening their pencil marks, fading where fingers have touched them again and again. The list of components, once a single sheet, has become a small notebook, its pages filled with Wozniak's careful handwriting. The air feels different now, cooler than it was in those first summer evenings. Autumn has come to Los Altos, and the nights arrive earlier, the darkness settling over the neighborhood while families are still finishing their dinners. The fog that rolls in from the bay is thicker, wetter, and when Wozniak opens the small door to step outside for a breath of air, he can feel the moisture on his face, can smell the particular sharpness of autumn in California, that mix of dry leaves and ocean salt. It's okay if you don't hear every word. Time is passing in the story, and time is passing for you too, carrying you gently toward sleep. Let the seasons change. Let the details blur. There is nothing you need to hold on to. The garage itself feels fuller now, though it is the same size it has always been. More circuit boards line the shelves. More boxes of components are stacked in the corners. There is a second lamp now clamped to the other end of the workbench, and when both are on, the space feels brighter, more like a workshop and less like a corner of someone's garage. The single stool has been joined by a folding chair, and sometimes both are occupied, both Steves working side by side in the warm glow of the lamps. The angle of light through the small window has changed too, as it does when the seasons turn. In summer, the late afternoon sun would slant in from the west, casting long shadows across the concrete floor. Now in autumn, the light comes from a lower angle, more golden, more gentle, and it fades earlier, leaving the garage to its electric lamps, while there is still color in the sky outside. These are the ways that time passes, not in dramatic events, but in small accumulations, in the gradual filling of spaces, in the slow shifting of light and air. The work continues evening after evening, and the pile of completed boards grows, and the two friends grow more confident in what they are doing, more certain that there is something here worth pursuing. Notice how your body has settled into the bed. Notice how the weight of the day has lifted from your shoulders. You are drifting now, like leaves drifting on still water, like clouds drifting across a quiet sky. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to do. Just rest. The boards they have been building are good and people want to buy them. But Jobs has been thinking about something more, something different. The boards are for hobbyists, for people who already understand electronics, who can connect their own keyboards and screens and power supplies. They are a starting point, not a destination. And Jobs keeps imagining a destination, a place where computers might go if someone made them friendlier, more complete, more like something an ordinary person might want to use. He talks about this sometimes in the quiet of the garage, while Wozniak solders and listens. What if he says we built something that was all together in one piece? What if it had a case, a real case, something that looked finished and professional? What if the keyboard was built right in, so you didn't have to connect your own? What if you could just take it out of the box and turn it on and start using it? Wozniak nods, thinking about what this would mean, what it would require. It is a bigger project, more complex, more expensive. But it is also more interesting, more of a challenge. And he finds himself sketching on the back of an envelope, imagining how the circuits might be arranged, how the keyboard might connect, how everything might fit together into something that felt complete. You don't have to follow the technical details. They are just the surface of the story, ripples on the water. Beneath them, the deep current continues, calm and steady, carrying you towards sleep. The idea grows slowly, taking shape over many evenings of conversation and sketching. They imagine a computer that comes in a case, a smooth plastic shell that hides the circuit boards and wires, that makes the whole thing look like a finished product rather than a collection of parts. The case would be beige or cream-colored, something neutral, something that would fit on a desk in a home or an office without looking out of place. The keyboard would be built into the case, the keys arranged in the familiar pattern that typists already know. You would not need to buy a separate keyboard, would not need to figure out how to connect it. You would just sit down and start typing, and the computer would respond, showing your words on a screen ready to do whatever you asked of it. And the screen itself might show colors, not just the green or white text on black that computers usually displayed. Colors like you might see in a picture or a game or a chart that helped you understand something complicated. This was Wozniak's idea, a way to use the television signals that the computer already produced to create something more vivid, more appealing, more like the colorful world that people actually lived in. It's okay if your eyes are closed now. The story is painting pictures in the darkness behind your eyelids, soft shapes and gentle colors that ask nothing of you except that you rest. Let them come and go. Let them blur and blend. You are safe here. Winter comes to Los Altos, though it is a mild winter, as California winters tend to be. The nights are longer now, and the darkness outside the garage seems deeper, more complete. The fog is a constant presence, rolling in each evening and not lifting until late morning, wrapping the neighborhood in its soft gray blanket. The air that seeps in under the garage door is cool and damp, and sometimes Wozniak wears a sweater while he works, his fingers still nimble despite the chill. The pencil marks on the notes above the workbench have been traced and retraced so many times that some of them have worn through the paper. New notes have been added, pinned over the old ones, creating a layered history of the project that only the two Steves can fully read. The notebook of component lists has been joined by another notebook, this one filled with sketches and diagrams with ideas for the new computer they are imagining. The boxes in the corners have been rearranged, some shipped out and new ones arrived. The constant flow of components and finished products that marks a project becoming something more than a hobby. There is a rhythm to this flow now, a pattern that repeats week after week, parts coming in and boards going out, and the work continuing in its steady, patient way. Notice your breathing, how slow and steady it has become. Your body knows how to rest, knows how to let go, knows how to drift into the peaceful darkness of sleep. Trust it. Let it carry you. At some point, the thing they are building needs a name, a way to talk about it, a word that captures what it is and what it might become. They have been calling it simply the computer or the board. But now that it is becoming something more, something that other people will see and use, it needs a real name, a name that can go on a box, a name that people will remember. Jobs suggests Apple. It is a simple word, familiar and friendly, nothing like the technical names that other computer companies use. He has been thinking about it for a while, turning it over in his mind, and it feels right to him. It sounds approachable, human, like something you might find in a kitchen rather than a laboratory. It is the opposite of intimidating, the opposite of cold and technical and difficult to understand. Wozniak thinks about it, shrugs, agrees. It is as good a name as any, and better than most. Apple. The word sits comfortably in the mouth, easy to say, easy to remember. It does not matter at this moment that it will someday become famous, that it will someday be recognized around the world. It is just a name chosen in a garage on a quiet evening because it sounded right and felt right, and no one had a better suggestion. You can let the name drift through your mind like a leaf on water. Apple. A simple word, a familiar thing, nothing more. Let it settle into the story, into the quiet, into the peaceful darkness where you are resting now. In the kitchen of the house, the bowl of apples still sits on the counter, as it has sat for all these months, replenished whenever it grows empty. The apples come from the grocery store, ordinary fruit for an ordinary household, and they have no idea that their name has been borrowed for something else, something that is growing in the garage, just a few steps away. There is something fitting about the name, something that connects the new thing to the old. Apples have been cultivated for thousands of years, simple and nourishing, a fruit that almost everyone knows and likes. The name carries that sense of simplicity, that feeling of something wholesome and familiar, something that does not need to be explained or justified. It is just an apple, just a computer, just a thing that exists and does what it does. And perhaps that is the best kind of name, the kind that does not try too hard, that does not announce itself with trumpets and fanfare. It is a quiet name, a modest name, the kind of name that lets the thing itself speak, that gets out of the way and allows people to see what is actually there. Apple. Simple as that. It's okay if you're drifting now in and out of the story, in and out of wakefulness. The name has been chosen, and the work continues, and the night continues, and you are part of all of it, floating gently in the quiet darkness. As the months pass and the new computer takes shape, it becomes clear that the garage is growing too small. The workbench that once held everything now overflows onto folding tables set up along the walls. The boxes that once fit neatly in corners now stack nearly to the ceiling. There are more people involved now helping with different parts of the work, and some evenings the garage feels crowded bodies, moving carefully around each other in the limited space. They begin to talk about finding a larger space, a real office, a place where the work can spread out and grow without bumping into walls. It is a strange thought after all these months of working in the familiar confines of the garage, but it is also an exciting one, a sign that what they are building has become too big for its first home. There are conversations with people who might invest money, who might help them grow faster than they could grow on their own. There are plans and projections, numbers on paper, that try to predict what the future might age. Old. Jobs handles most of this, talking to people, explaining the vision, asking for what they need. Wozniak continues to build, to refine, to solve the endless technical problems that arise whenever you try to make something new. You don't have to follow the details of growth and change. They are just the surface of the story, the visible part. Beneath them, the same quiet work continues, the same steady rhythm that has been there from the beginning. That rhythm carries you now, gentle as a heartbeat, calm as breathing. And yet, even as they plan for larger spaces and bigger futures, the garage remains. It is still here on Crist Drive, with its concrete floor and its single window, and its workbench scarred by years of use. The faint glow still shines from under the door on the evenings when someone is working late. The clock still ticks on the wall. The smell of solder still lingers in the air, mixing with the cooler scents of the changing seasons. This is where it began, this ordinary space in an ordinary house on an ordinary street. Whatever comes next, whatever buildings they move to, whatever size the company becomes, this garage will always be the origin point, the place where two friends worked together on something they believed in, where the faint glow under the door was the only sign that something was happening in the quiet of the night. The garage does not know that it is becoming a kind of landmark, a place that people will someday point to and say this is where it started. It is just a garage, doing what garages do, holding tools and boxes and the accumulated things of ordinary life. But it holds something else too now, something invisible, something that will remain long after the boxes are gone and the workbench is cleared and the lamp is finally turned off for the last time. And that is where we leave them for now, on the edge of something larger, looking forward to spaces they have not yet found, while the garage that held their beginning waits quietly behind them. The night is deep, and you are deep in it too. Rest well. The story will continue, but for now, there is only peace, only stillness, only the gentle darkness that holds you safe while you sleep. Part 7, Leaving and Remaining. The packing begins slowly, as endings often do. A box here, a box there, filled with components and tools, and the accumulated things of months of work. The shelves along the wall, once crowded with circuit boards and bins of parts, begin to show empty spaces, gaps, where things used to be. The workbench, for so long, the center of everything, is gradually cleared, its scarred surface emerging from beneath the clutter like a shoreline revealed by a receding tide. There is no hurry to this packing. It happens over days, over weeks, in between the other work that still needs to be done. Someone wraps a soldering iron in cloth and places it in a box. Someone else stacks empty component bins, their labels still visible, their purposes still remembered. The lamp that has cast its warm circle of light over so many evenings is unclamped from the bench and set aside, waiting to be moved to wherever it will shine next. It's okay if you don't hear every word. Things are being packed away, carried out, moved to new places. You can watch from a distance, through half-closed eyes, without needing to follow every detail. Just rest. As the boxes leave one by one, the garage begins to feel different. Larger somehow, though it is the same size it has always been. The echoes are different now. The sound of footsteps on concrete, returning from walls that used to be muffled by stacked boxes and crowded shelves. The air feels different, too cleaner, less filled with the particular smell of electronics and solder that has been its constant companion for so long. The notes pinned above the workbench are taken down one by one their corners, leaving small holes in the drywall where the pins used to be. Some of them are kept folded carefully and placed in folders. Others, their information no longer needed, are let go, dropped into a trash bag, with the gentle rustle of paper accepting its end. The layered history of the project is dispersed, scattered to different places, no longer visible in one glance. The clock remains on the wall, still ticking its patient rhythm. It has always been here, was here before the project began, and will be here after it is gone. It marks the passing seconds the same way it always has, indifferent to what happens beneath it, faithful only to its own small purpose of measuring time. Notice how your body has settled deeper into the bed. Notice how your thoughts have grown quieter, softer, like the emptying garage. There is space now, room to breathe, room to rest. Let yourself fill that space with stillness. Outside on Crist Drive, everything looks the same as it always has. The houses sit quietly behind their lawns, their windows reflecting the sky, their doors closed against the mild California weather. Cars are parked in driveways. Trees line the sidewalks, their leaves changing with the seasons, their branches casting familiar shadows on the pavement below. If you walked down this street today, you would not know that anything remarkable had happened here. The house with the garage looks like all the others, ordinary and unremarkable, a family home in a quiet neighborhood. The garage door is closed, as garage doors usually are, and there is nothing to see, nothing to indicate that this particular space has held anything out of the ordinary. This is how it is with most beginnings. They happen in ordinary places, in houses and rooms and garages that look like all the other houses and rooms and garages around them. The extraordinary grows out of the ordinary, emerges from it, and then moves on, leaving the ordinary behind to be ordinary once again. The street does not know what has happened. The neighborhood does not remember. Only the people who were there and the places themselves hold the memory of what once was. You can let the street fade, now let the houses blur into the peaceful darkness. The ordinary world continues calm and unchanged, asking nothing of you. You are part of it, resting in it, held by its gentle, familiar embrace. And now, as the last boxes are carried out and the garage stands empty, something changes. The space that was once filled with work and effort and the patient building of something new becomes something else, something that is not quite physical anymore. It becomes a symbol, a representation, a quiet image that holds more than its walls could ever contain. A garage, after all, is just a space. It is walls and a floor and a door that opens and closes. It is a place where things are kept, where work is done, where the ordinary business of life unfolds. But it can also be something more. It can be a reminder that everything has to start somewhere, that even the largest things begin as small things, that the most important work is often done in the most humble places. The garage on Crist Drive has become this kind of symbol now. Not because it is special in itself, but because of what happened within it. It held a beginning. It sheltered a dream. It was the quiet, protected space where two friends could work without interruption, where ideas could grow at their own pace, where the only pressure was the gentle pressure of curiosity, the simple desire to see what might be possible. It's okay if the garage is becoming something else in your mind now, something that is less about walls and floors and more about feeling. Let it transform. Let it become whatever it needs to become. The story is holding you, and you are safe. And perhaps you have a garage of your own, somewhere in the quiet spaces of your mind. Not a real garage, not a physical place, but a space like it. A place where you can go when you need to think, when you need to rest, when you need to be alone with your own thoughts and feelings. A place that is protected and still, where the noise of the world cannot reach you, where you are free to simply be. This quiet garage of the mind does not need to produce anything. It does not need to be the birthplace of something remarkable, does not need to lead to success or achievement or any of the things that the world often tells us we should want. It is simply a place of rest, a place of safety, a place where you can let go of everything you are carrying and just exist without pressure, without expectation, without the weight of having to become anything other than what you are. You can go there now if you like. You can imagine the door opening, the cool concrete floor beneath your feet, the soft light from a single lamp casting its warm glow over the empty space. There is nothing in this garage except what you bring to it, and you do not need to bring anything at all. You can simply stand there or sit there and breathe and let the stillness settle around you like a blanket. This is your space. This is your quiet place. No one else can enter it unless you invite them. No one else can disturb the peace you find here. It belongs to you, and it will be here whenever you need it, tonight and tomorrow and all the nights to come. And in this quiet garage of the mind, there is a faint glow, just as there was a faint glow under the door on Crist Drive. It is not a bright light, not a demanding light. It is just a gentle warmth, a soft illumination that makes the darkness friendly, that says you are not alone, that reminds you that even in the deepest quiet, there is something present, something watching over you. This glow does not ask anything of you. It does not require you to work or to think or to produce anything of value. It is simply there, steady and patient, a companion in the stillness. You can rest in its light without feeling that you should be doing something else, without feeling that your rest is wasted time. The light understands. The light accepts you as you are. Let that glow be with you now, wherever you are. Let it be the last thing you see before you drift into sleep, a soft warmth in the darkness, a gentle presence that asks nothing and gives everything. Back on Crist Drive, the real garage stands nearly empty now. The workbench has been cleared, its surface wiped clean of the dust and residue of so many months of work. The shelves are bare, waiting to hold whatever will come next, the ordinary things of ordinary life that garages usually contain. The folding chair has been folded and carried out. The stool has been taken to wherever it is needed now. The clock still ticks on the wall, faithful as always. The window still lets in its square of light, though there is nothing much to illuminate now. The small door to the house is closed, separating the garage from the kitchen, where the bowl of apples still sits on the counter, where the refrigerator still hums its quiet hum, where life continues in its own gentle rhythm. The garage is just a garage again, waiting to be filled with whatever its family needs to store. Perhaps it will hold a car again, or bicycles, or boxes of holiday decorations. Perhaps it will hold garden tools or camping equipment, or the accumulated treasures of children growing up. Whatever it holds, it will hold it quietly, patiently, asking nothing in return. You are so close to sleep now. You can feel it waiting for you. just beyond the edge of wakefulness, ready to receive you. Let yourself drift toward it. Let the story carry you the last few steps. On this last evening, before the work moves entirely to other places, someone turns on the lamp one more time. Perhaps it is to check that nothing has been left behind, or perhaps it is simply to say goodbye, to honor the space that has held so much. The light flickers on, casting its familiar circle over the empty workbench, illuminating the bare walls and the clean floor, and the quiet emptiness of a chapter that is ended. And outside, for one last time, the faint glow appears under the garage door. That thin line of light that has signaled so many evenings of work, that has been the only sign of wakefulness on so many sleeping streets. It shines there soft and warm, patient as always, asking nothing, offering only its gentle presence to anyone who might be watching. But no one is watching. The street is quiet, the houses dark, the neighborhood wrapped in the peaceful stillness of night. The glow shines, for no audience, illuminates nothing, important signals to no one. And yet it is there, doing what light does, being what light is, until someone inside reaches for the switch and turns it off. Let that glow fade now gently, slowly, the way light fades when a lamp is turned off in a room far away. It does not disappear all at once. It lingers for a moment, a memory of brightness, and then it is gone, and only the darkness remains. The garage door is closed, now sealed against the night. It looks like every other garage door on every other house, on every other street in this quiet suburb. There is no sign of what has happened here. No plaque or marker or anything that would tell a passerby that this is a place where something began. It is just a door, just a house, just a street returning to the ordinary now that the extraordinary has moved on. The night settles over Crist Drive like a soft blanket. The fog drifts in from the bay, gentle and gray, covering everything in its quiet embrace. The stars wheel slowly overhead, the same stars that have watched over this valley for thousands of years, indifferent to what happens below, faithful only to their own slow turning. And the memory of the light remains even though the light itself is gone. It remains in the walls of the garage, in the concrete of the floor, in the air, that still holds faintly the smell of solder and warm electronics. It remains in the story we have been telling and the words that have carried us through these quiet hours. It remains in you now as you drift toward sleep, a faint warmth in the darkness, a gentle reminder of what can begin in quiet places. The garage door is closed. The street is calm. The night is deep and peaceful. And you are here safe and warm, carried by the story into the gentle darkness of sleep. Rest now. Rest well. The light will be there when you need it in your own quiet garage, waiting for you whenever you return. Part 8. Rest now. And so we come to the end of the story, or at least to the end of the telling. There was a quiet garage on a quiet street in a small California town. There were two curious friends who liked to build things with their hands. There was patient work evening after evening, the slow accumulation of circuits and ideas. There was a name chosen simply because it sounded right. And there was a small company taking shape, growing out of the ordinary, moving toward whatever it would become. That is all. That is the whole story, or at least the part of it we have told tonight. It is a simple story, really. A garage, a workbench, a lamp, two friends, some circuit boards, and the faint glow of light under a door. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent, nothing that demands you stay awake to see what happens next. The rest of the story belongs to history, to books and articles that you can read some other time, some other day when you are awake and curious. But that is not for now. Now is for rest. Now is for letting go. You can let go of the narrative completely now. You do not need to remember the names, the places, the details. You do not need to hold on to any of it. The story has done its work, carrying you gently through the evening, and now it can fade, like the faint glow fading under the garage door, like the last light of sunset fading from the western sky. There is nothing more to follow, nothing more to understand. The words are just sounds now, soft sounds in the darkness, no more meaningful than the rustle of wind through leaves, or the distant murmur of water over stones. Let them wash over you. Let them carry you. Let them be whatever they need to be as you drift toward sleep. Your only task now is to rest. Your only job is to breathe. Everything else can wait until morning. Notice your breath. Do not try to change it. Just notice it the way you might notice rain falling outside a window, the way you might notice the slow movement of clouds across a sky. Your breath is already doing what it needs to do. It knows how to fill your lungs. It knows how to release. It has been doing this since the moment you were born, and it will continue steady and faithful without any effort from you. Let your breath become slower now. Let each inhale be a little longer, a little deeper. Let each exhale be a little softer, a little more complete. There is no right way to do this. There is only your way, the way your body already knows the way, that feels natural and easy and good. Bring your attention now to your feet. Feel them resting at the end of the bed, heavy and still. Notice the weight of them, the warmth of them, the way they have carried you through the day and now have nothing more to carry. Let them soften. Let them release. Let any tension you find there dissolve, melting away like snow melting in the first warmth of spring. Let that softness spread up into your legs, your calves, your knees, your thighs. Feel them growing heavy against the mattress, sinking down, letting go. The muscles that have worked all day can rest now. The joints that have bent and moved can be still. There is nothing for your legs to do. There is nowhere for them to go. They can simply be relaxed and peaceful, supported by the bed beneath you. Let the softness rise into your torso now. Your hips, your belly, your lower back. Feel your breath moving gently in this space, the slow rise and fall of your chest, the quiet rhythm that has been with you all along. Your stomach can soften. Your back can release into the mattress. The core of you, the center of you, can let go of everything it has been holding, everything it has been carrying through the day. And now your arms, your hands resting wherever they have come to rest, your wrists, your forearms, your upper arms. Feel how heavy they have become, how still. Your fingers can uncurl. Your palms can open. The arms that have reached and lifted and carried can do nothing now except lie there peaceful and relaxed, asking nothing, needing nothing. Your shoulders. So often we carry tension here, the weight of responsibility, the burden of the day. Let your shoulders drop now. Let them fall away from your ears. Let them release into the pillow, into the mattress, into whatever is supporting them. There is nothing you need to carry right now. There is nothing you need to hold up. The weight can be set down. The burden can be released. And finally, your face. Your jaw, which can unclench and soften. Your lips, which can part just slightly. Your cheeks, your eyes, your forehead. Let all the small muscles of your face relax the muscles that express and react and respond to the world. Your eyes can close more deeply. Your brow can smooth. Your whole face can become soft and open, peaceful and still. Your whole body is at rest now. Every part of you is soft and heavy and warm. You are held by the darkness, cradled by the night, drifting in the gentle space between waking and sleeping. The garage is dark now. The doors closed. The lamps are off. The workbench is empty. It sits in silence on the quiet street, holding nothing but shadows and the faint memory of what was built there. The clock on the wall has stopped, or perhaps it ticks unfaithful as always, measuring time that no one is counting. It does not matter. The garage is at rest, just as you are at rest. The street outside is calm. The houses sleep. The trees stand still in the cool night air, their leaves motionless, their branches dark against the darker sky. A single street light casts its small pool of light on the empty sidewalk, but there is no one to see it. No one walking, no one watching. The neighborhood is quiet, wrapped in the deep peace of the late night hours. The air is cool and still. It carries the scent of night-blooming flowers, of damp grass, of the distant sea. It moves gently, barely a breath, stirring nothing, disturbing nothing. If you were there, standing on the sidewalk in front of the dark garage, you would feel that coolness on your face, would breathe it in, would feel how peaceful everything has become. And in the kitchen of the house, the bowl of apples sits on the counter in the darkness. The apples are just shapes now, round, and still their colors invisible in the night. But their scent is there, faint and sweet, drifting through the quiet kitchen, mixing with the cool air that seeps in through a window left slightly open. It is an ordinary smell, a simple smell, the smell of fruit that has ripened in its own time, asking nothing, offering only its quiet presence. You can almost smell it now if you let yourself. That soft sweetness, that gentle, familiar scent. It is a comfort, a small kindness in the darkness, a reminder that even when everything else has faded, some simple things remain. An apple in a bowl, a scent in the air, a feeling of peace that asks for nothing and offers everything. You can let go of the narrative completely now. You can let go of the garage, the street, the apples in their bowl. Let it all dissolve into the darkness. Let it all become part of the sleep that is waiting for you. The story is over. The night is here. You are safe. You are warm. You are held. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let go. Sleep now. Rest well. Good night.